everyone, welcome back to Sapphic Situations. I'm Shayna.
And I'm Ray-Bay.
And today we are going to be talking about polyamorous and monogamous relationships. Which one do you prefer, and how they compare and how they contrast, basically.
Yeah.
I'm very excited because I feel like my opinions have changed in the past couple of years. They keep kind of like evolving, I feel.
Yeah, I think that my view on this very much changed from like when I was in college to now. And so it's kind of funny how like your perspective can change so much with age once you like gain more knowledge and like can see different things.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So, of course, we got an icebreaker here. And this icebreaker is relationship scenarios.
Okay.
So I'm going to... Yeah, I'm excited too. So I'm going to say like a scenario and you can let me know what we're both going to answer.
Okay.
What you would do in that scenario. So the first one is your partner forgets your anniversary. How do you react and what do you do next?
I would be very annoyed.
Okay.
I think it would also depend on like if I feel like before used to be a thing where like you didn't talk about like your anniversary. It's just like the day of. It's supposed to be some big surprise, or it's like oh, it's my or our anniversary. Like hey, here's this gift. But I feel like now we're in an age where like people are making plans and they're like doing things and stuff. So if we're like talking and we're making plans to do something and then you still forgot. Oh, I'm big mad.
Like, that is understandable. That's understandable for sure. I think for me, I'm not saying that I'm the person forgetting the anniversary or anything. No, I'm really not. But a lot of my relationships were never even like official. So it was like, as far as anniversaries go, I feel like I had like maybe 1 or 2 relationships where we actually had a date or whatever it is, or like have a stamp of like, okay, this is when we're gonna celebrate when we got together. So I think I probably wouldn't even be that upset, but I would be upset at the fact that, okay, you're not considering me in this moment. Like, you didn't consider how special our union is.
Exactly.
Because you didn't care. Mm-hmm. You know, and I do know those are 2 different things, like whether you actually have a date versus when you don't have a date. Because some people, I actually met some other people that never got a official date. I think, are those called situationships?
Yeah, that's actually the reason I started laughing was because I was like, oh shit, are we both serial situationships? Like, because I haven't really had someone where I like dated where we had like an official date. It's just like a situationship, and then it's just like,
yeah.
No.
I mean, I feel like I definitely have had like firm relationships, but I've also had some that were not. Like my first girlfriend, there was no date. It was a hot mess. Well, you know, whatever. We'll get into that.
But I feel like that's also normal. Like your first relationship. Like for mine, I think that we had like an official date, but it was like after we were already like in a situationship for like X period of time. So then it was like, oh, okay, I guess we're gonna go on like our first official date. Yeah, now that we're together. But I think that's also something where when you first are coming out and you start dating someone, you know, like it's not always a thing where you're like start off as dating someone, because it can be a thing where you guys are just getting to know each other or just like exploring your sexuality and like figuring out like what you guys like, you know.
That's true.
So I feel like that is probably something that like is kind of common maybe in our community.
In our community, I feel like in the straight community too, to be honest. Like, I've heard some I think the human community.
Yeah.
The human community. Anyways.
The Homo sapiens.
Oh my gosh, we have 2 more icebreakers. Are you ready?
Okay, guys. I'm ready. All right. Let's do it.
So this one's a little juicy. You find your partner has been texting someone else romantically. Then they confront you about wanting a polyamorous relationship, but you're already monogamous. What do you do? So,
like, we're monogamous.
Yes.
They start texting someone. Mm-hmm. I find out. Then they want to ask if we want to be poly. Baby, what? No, this is not the order of events. They skip some steps. Like, we go out. We talk about what we, like, want.
No, I agree.
Yeah, like, talk to me about us, like, being poly and be for real about it before someone else is there. Because if you talk to me about it after, then I just feel like you're only saying that to cut. Well, I feel like they're just trying to cover their ass and be like, "Oh, man, Blake."
Yeah, maybe they genuinely do feel like that, but I honestly think that's coward behavior. Like, I think that if you are in a relationship with someone, you should be able to have all types of conversations with that person.
Right.
Even if it's you falling for someone else. Like, I think that deserves a conversation. Yeah. And not, oh my gosh, I'm catching you doing this thing.
Exactly.
Which is betrayal, by the way.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah, very bad.
Okay, so then what is your answer to the whole poly thing? Would you accept it, or would you just be like, no, you betrayed me?
Before, yeah, I would have accepted it. But, like, after you already talked to someone, then I already have, like, trust issues, and I'm going to feel like you're not going to be, like, honest, and you might bring something back to me or, like, do some other sketchy shit, and then... I don't know. I feel like that the trust is broken at that point. So
that's valid. I think probably same answer, basically. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything about that answer. All right, so last one. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
You and your partner have a major disagreement about future plans. How do you navigate this?
Like future relations.
So let's give some future plans. For example, maybe you want to live in the city, but your partner wants to live in the country. Okay. How do you navigate this?
I'm not moving to the country. I've been there. I don't want to go back. Listen,
I'm crying.
Every person I know that, like, goes to the country, doesn't matter for how long, like, they develop a country accent. Like, they could go for even just, like, a week. Like, I don't know what the country does to people. It's just, like...
I don't know what it is either, but I think that, I don't know, this has been a very common scenario, I guess, in my past and in my life. So it's just like, honestly, I feel like in the back of my head, it kind of makes me feel like it's not going to work out. Because, like, living quarters are very important. And if someone only feels comfortable a certain way, and the other person is not willing to compromise or maybe accommodate in some way, I don't know. So I would, even though this may sound weird and crazy, I think I would contemplate breaking up.
Yeah, I think I would too, because it's like, I'm sorry, but, like, it depends also on that. Like, what do you mean by country? Like, are you talking about the burbs? Like, do you mean like mountains, the beach, or you mean like the country? Like,
I mean, that's part of the compromise that you would have to talk about.
Exactly, because I'm like, listen, I am not going out. Like, I don't want to have to drive 35 minutes just to, like, get some, like, you know.
No, I love being like 10 minutes away from a Publix. Like, I love that.
Right.
I love that for me.
Exactly. No, but seriously, like, when I tell you, I don't want to have to, like, I don't want it to be a thing where, like, if I'm going to the grocery store, it's a trek. Like, and if I don't get what I need, I have to drive an hour total, like, there or back or more. I don't want to have to do that. Or even, like, I don't want to be somewhere where there's, like, no service, because if something happens and I don't have service. I've, like, lived in, like, the middle of nowhere before. Like, I went to college in the mountains where there's, like, no service. Ugh. You're driving around. If you didn't get gas station before, or if you didn't get gas before you left, you're not going to find another gas station for, like, maybe, like, 20 miles. So you're going to be like, SOL. Like, I don't want to have to deal with that.
That literally sounds awful.
Right. Because it's just like, I'm like, first of all, I'm black.
And you know, sundown towns are still a thing. Sundown towns are definitely still a thing. So
yeah, and there are even, like, some gas stations up at my school where I would not feel comfortable going in them. Like, wow. Yeah, so, like,
I believe it.
That's why it's for me. It's a hard no.
I get it. Yeah. For me, it's also a no. Yeah. So. Well, that was fun. Yeah. Speaking of the scenarios, I guess we can now talk about our own experiences with polyamory or monogamy or. Okay. So, Ray, which one do you prefer?
So now, like I said before, like, my views have very much changed. I'm actually very more so into polyamory, and I even feel like I am poly, even though I'm single. I'm single poly.
Single poly is a thing. Single poly.
It really is. There's a lot of us out there because a lot of people are not into it. Like, people don't like you adding other people into the equation. They're very like self-centered, and if it's not like all about them, at the same time, people are not able to fully deliver either. So I feel like it just makes more sense. Like, you can show up how you want to in the ways that you can, but, like, if you want to take a few steps back, like, and you want to move back out to the country, you can. I'll be here in the city. We can still have like some sort of relationship going on where it can be something that's long distance, but at the same time, I think it should be a thing where like we can open up the door to other relationships as well, you know?
That does make sense. I think that I have been navigating being single a little bit differently. I feel I made like this tweet. It's not even a tweet. I made this post on Threads where I was just like talking about I understand the way that Lori Harvey dates now. Like and it made me think, oh yeah, I actually never want to be a girlfriend ever again. and everyone was like so mad that I said that, or they're just like, oh, you're never gonna find love. And I'm like, but are you listening to what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I never want to find love or I never want to be tied down or be in a commitment. I'm just saying I don't want to be a girlfriend. So I want to date people. I want to date or I want to be married. That is like where I am.
Yeah, all or nothing.
Yeah.
Period.
And yeah, the relationship that I want is where if you betray me, it's illegal and I will ruin your entire life.
Absolutely. And that is why we love a prenup.
Listen, we are going to get into it. So...
No, we did have another episode about this because I have some things.
I feel you on that.
I have some notes I want to share with the class before another day.
No, seriously. But I feel like, so would you say that you are dating as a single person, so you're dating more than one person while you're single?
Yeah.
Is there another way that you are not poly?
I mean, like, I don't always date more than one person because like, I feel like I do a lot.
Okay, yeah.
Like, your girl's booked and busy. And sometimes I'm like, I want to take a nap. Like, I don't want to go on all these dates. Like, oh, it's your favorite color.
No, right. And it's the same. And that's what I'm sick of. Honestly, I don't mind going on dates with people, but just as long as there's substance and we're actually building connection. If we're just going out to eat and just saying the most basic stuff, like, honestly, I could have stayed home for this. I could buy my own dinner. Like, I'm not the type to be like, oh, well, at least it was a free dinner. No, you wasted my time.
Exactly. Like, I don't need a free dinner.
I don't need a free dinner.
I would rather go to the soup kitchen than be here held hostage by you.
We love a soup kitchen.
Right? Ain't no shame.
Yeah. Shout out to soup kitchens right now.
Period.
But were there times where you were strictly monogamous?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that, like...
What was that like?
So when I originally just thought monogamy was like the only way. And I remember I was dating someone in college and she was like, introduced me to poly, or like, that was the first time I heard about it. So that was something she was interested in, but like, I never heard about it before. But my minor is actually in psychology. So I took human sexuality class, and then I learned about poly a lot more in that class, and I actually read a book for the class. We got to like pick a book, but I read a book on polyamorous relationships and communities, and that's what changed my views. So, because I was just like, okay, like, she said this, what's this all about? Let me do my research, because I'm a research girly.
That's so interesting you mentioned that college class, because I think I took a similar class, but it was about sex and gender. And it wasn't really touching on monogamous or polyamorous relationships, but it was touching on the way that human connection is different. For example, we were learning a lot about like all of the phallic symbols that they made back in the day of when they were doing when men went to war to die. And they were also talking about how like a lot of them were very homoerotic, and like you know, they would have wives, but while they're off to war, they're definitely doing stuff with their body, you know. So it's like,
no, but people don't really like that either. Like, there's been entire like wars fought where like all the soldiers were in like same-sex relationships, and people don't understand that, like, and they fought great, and they actually did so much better and were victorious because it's like they had so much more to fight for. Like, that's like their love that they're fighting for, you know, not just like the people back home in the land. Like, they're fighting to protect theirs, you know?
Yeah, not even that, honestly. And I think it's like people also think, oh, being gay is just like a modern thing, and it's like people been gay for centuries.
Right. People
be gay.
People be gay, but people been gay.
Yes.
like
people be gay, but people being gay. We can put that on a shirt,
right? Like, people think that it's like a thing where like, oh, we didn't have gay people before, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? Like, have you, like, it's just been washed from history. Like, they just don't include it in, but it's been something that's been around. And especially, like, people don't think about, like, we learn about, like, Western cultures and stuff. We don't, like, fully learn about how, like, you know, with a lot of these other cultures and, like, minorities cultures, that's something that is sometimes, like, put in there where they're, like, it's like, what is it, Native American culture, they have like people who identify with two different spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love two-spirit people.
Yeah,
when it comes to relationships, there are so many comparisons made, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of similarities. So just because someone is polyamorous doesn't mean that they don't still have values and qualities that a monogamous relationship would have.
Exactly. And a lot of times these people, like, I feel like, and like just reading that book, I was like, there's so much, like, their communication skills that they have is so much better. They care. I feel like they're like more courteous. They're more considerate.
Oh wait, who
like,
is more?
Trust. Like polyamorous.
Oh,
like,
really?
People in the polyamorous community. Yeah, because they're so upfront and they're so honest about everything.
I've literally heard the opposite. So that's just very interesting information. Yeah, because I feel like eventually, and I mean, this is just my observation, my opinion.
Yeah.
In some poly relationships, I feel like the person who, well, maybe not even the person who started, but someone loves one person more than the other person. And so something is going to kind of fall flat, or maybe that's maybe a sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not comparison, compatibility. Maybe like if someone is in a polyamorous relationship and they're not as compatible with one person than they are with the other person, I feel like that also kind of bridges tension in the relationship.
Well, I think it's also probably like something else that has a like huge impact on this too, is the fact that some people get into polyamorous relationships and they had no business doing that to begin with. like you didn't want that. Like, you seriously were trying to save this relationship and you didn't want to have a threesome, so you told them you could be poly. And you weren't gonna have a baby either. So this is like, I'm like, these are the three things that people do to try to save
relationship savers.
Yeah.
Poly, baby, whatever.
Threesome, yeah. That's it. So, like, for people that try to do stuff like that, then no, I'm sorry. Poly's not gonna work for you. It's not gonna save your relationship. You're not gonna get this, like, certain, like, undying trust. But, like, when people are already, like, identify as that, and they find other people that also identify as that, and, like, understand that. And I'm not saying, like, you can't be, like, you have to only date people who are already poly, but you have to date people. If you're poly, you need to be with people who actually like understand and believe that, because I feel like I dated people before where I've told them that, like, hey, I'm not looking for anything like monogamous, like, and we're dating and things are good, and I'm like, you know, like I said, I'm a busy girl. I don't always date more than one person at a time, like, so it's like I'll be dating this one person, and then when it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, I feel like I want to introduce something else in, they've been saying that they're cool with it this whole time. And as soon as I try to introduce something else in, then it's like, oh, you've been leading me on. Like, you know, they just want to act like things have been like, they've been misled, but that's not the case at all.
Yeah, it's very interesting with poly relationships because I've never had a poly relationship that I curated with my partner personally, but I have had experiences where I was like the third person that they try to bring in. Well, not even they, because I've only experienced poly relationship in the sense of just dating that person, because I know there's different types of poly relationships, right? Like it would be like the couple dating that person together, or like the two people are able to go, you know, their own separate ways. Right,
because there's like a thruple. Is
yeah.
Kind of like, I think what you're thinking of too. Like there's that.
Yeah, but that was not what was happening. So what had happened was this person approached me and said that she's in a poly relationship, whatever. She's attracted to me and stuff like that. I was like, okay, cool. You know, I am monogamous myself, but I am open to understanding the way that polyamory works. I'm not necessarily going to knock it. As soon as I'm married, though, all of that's in the garbage. I'm not very interested. Yeah. So I'm like, well, I'm single. I'm open to trying.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. So we ended up hooking up, long story short.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even on a romantic sense. I feel like we both kind of just found it to be fun.
Yeah.
But next thing I know, her girlfriend is trashing me online. Saying that I am all types of things, everything but a child of God. Oh. And she's just constantly commenting on all my pictures and photos about, oh, I can't believe you. I mean, let's call her Timmy. So this is what you and Timmy do? Like, are you serious? Da, 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 da. And I'm like, looking around like, what are you talking about?
Like, girl, I thought that this was like...
Yeah, and so I feel like, I guess some people are non-ethical when they are polyamorous.
Yeah.
And so, or, in that instance, I found out that that individual apparently was not taking their, I guess, breakup very well, because at least they were like on, like you mentioned, maybe they're on their last leg type of thing. Yeah. So it was just like, okay, fine, let's try to be poly. And then like I guess she got upset that her partner actually did find someone that she wanted to hook up with, and then it was like, no, I don't want this anymore. And then she decided to attack me, and then Timmy was like, I'm so sorry, like she's literally insane. She knows, like, we are legit in a poly relationship, she's just not really down for it. So then it like brings question to, okay, well then should you really even do it if your partner doesn't want you to do it?
How do you like that's at that point it's like so basically your partner's not cool with this. So at that point, like, this isn't like a poly relationship. You're openly cheating on them and telling them that you're like poly, but they're like, no, we're not. And they're like, you're like, yeah, okay.
But that's the thing. But that's the thing though, like I think they have done other things before outside of me. And even her girlfriend, she actually wanted to bring a man into it, and Timmy was like, no.
Right. Yeah.
So they have been probably, I don't know. I think it was something maybe about me specifically, or like the situation.
Because sometimes girls are like will get real jealous, and I feel like that's the thing too. Like, it's not easy to be poly because like it's not. Look, it's not for the weak. You have to have like a certain amount of like confidence and security with yourself if you're gonna allow your partner to like see other people. And I feel like if you don't, then when they bring someone else around, you're gonna be like, oh my god, like this person's so pretty, and then like the insecurities start coming in. If you're like already insecure, like obviously you're gonna feel more insecure when like you feel like your personal relationship's being threatened. And which brings us back to like, you know, why you shouldn't try to be poly if you already feel like your relationship is being threatened. Like,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What would you do in that situation if you were the person trying to, I guess, exercise your polyamory, but your partner is kind of like, well, actually, I changed my mind? What do you do?
Oh, sorry. This has happened. This has happened where I will be dating someone, and then it's like, oh, I want to like talk to other people. They're cool with it. Then they get to that point, and then it's like they are not okay with it. It's the whole like, oh, they're upset. They want to lash out, like, and stuff, and then I end up having to end it because I'm like, oh, like, I'm not dealing with this. You're not gonna like say all this stuff about me when I've been very like upfront about this from the get-go, you know. So yeah, I've had to end, like, there's been a few like situationships I've had to end where I'm like, okay, well, this isn't something where we can like progress with or move forward with, clearly, because you're saying one thing, but your actions are very much telling something else. And so like you were only saying that to mislead me into, because you thought that you were going to be the one to make me change my mind. And it's like, I'm sorry, but like,
that's the thing. People think they are just mind changers. It's so interesting, especially in relationships. Like, people think they're mind changers, and it's like, I mean, here's the thing though. This is what I believe. People do change their mind, and they can change their mind, but people don't change. Life changes people. So the only way people are going to change is because life makes them change, or they want to change. You cannot make them change.
Exactly.
Like, it's not possible.
Right. And even with me, it's like I didn't have like the person that I was like talking to that told me about poly, that was something that they're interested in. They weren't pushing it onto me. Like, they told me about it and we talked about it. We had a few conversations, but it wasn't something that they like fully pushed onto me where they're like, oh, I'm going to change you into this. It became a thing where I started learning about it more. And then even as our relationship started spiraling to where I was like, I don't think that this needs to be like my primary relationship here. Like, I would like to seek other relations, or I could see myself seeking other relationships. That's what changed my mind, where I was like, oh, okay, I kind of do after reading the book, taking the class, that all changed me. Where it's like you said, life changes people. People typically don't change people.
Right.
It has to be more.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, since we were talking about, I guess, kind of the misconceptions of both, like, well, mostly polyamory, there is some with monogamy too. But I also wanted to talk about maybe some benefits that they both have. I think we kind of talked about it with polyamory of, like, I think it's maybe sort of like a freedom in a way, or a healthy detachment from jealousy and possession. I think that's something that would be a benefit for polyamory. What do you think would be a benefit for monogamy? I mean, I can think of one right now. I think legally, if you're trying to build like an empire, or you're trying to have like a partner, as like someone who's like really solid, I think that marriage is like a good thing. That's like a benefit, because you need someone that you can rely on and trust and navigate the world, that has a deep connection with you. So I feel like monogamy, that's, at least in my opinion, that's what it's supposed to be. So that's kind of where I'm headed. Like, I date to marry. It's not that I'm dating multiple people just to date multiple people. That's like not necessarily what I'm looking for. But as far as the end goal, that's how I see it. Okay. No, I get that. I feel like that's very valid, and that makes sense. Like, I do see how, like, you know, it's like what we were saying before. If you want to, you get how you can only get but so many people to sign a prenup. It's also like illegal, I think, to marry more than one person.
Yeah, so. You can probably like marry one person, and you have like your other like side pieces. Right.
I mean, to each their own. I just don't see having that much time to do that in a marriage, in my opinion.
I feel like another like benefit is that like it is kind of a thing where if you aren't spreading yourself, like, you don't have to feel like you're spreading yourself, then you can like really focus in on that one person and really get to know them. But I think also, like, I guess if you are getting like, if you get like STD tests and you're like supposed to be dating one person, so it pops up, you know, like, that is another like, I guess, perk. But at the same time, I
know people be lying,
right? People do be lying, but also like even with the like polyamory community, they're very much like proactive about getting tested and stuff. So like sometimes even with that, it's like, if you're with someone and you like know that they're gonna see other people, sometimes it's better to just be like poly, because then at least it's like you have that openness about testing and everything, where it's like, hey, they need to know that you have a wife, and that like, and I need for you to get tested and stuff like that. Like, I feel like, you know, it's hard to say like what are the pros and cons, because I think it's very like,
they're all it varies. Yeah, I think it varies for both. Like, I think another benefit of polyamory would be like, if the end goal is to find like, you know, an ultimate mate that you can marry, if marriage is the goal, I feel like dating multiple people gets you to that goal faster, because you're not just zeroed in on one person.
Right.
You can like kind of extend, but not in like a way that spreads yourself thin, but more of just like a delegation type of way.
Right. And I think that also like another benefit of poly is that, you know, we're all learning, right? We're all like figuring things out as far as life and relationships, especially. Like, there's always, you know, different things that can come out of relationships. So it's good to be able to like get different knowledge and different like input from like different people, different point of views, different cultures. Especially, like, I think it's good to have that like mixing of cultures. Just something that comes from poly.
That is true. I think that could also be in monogamous relationships too, because they say opposites attract. I feel like there are a lot of comparative similarities and differences of both monogamous and polyamory. I feel like I'm going to exercise both, but the end goal for me personally is monogamy and marriage.
Yeah.
What about you?
I feel like I'm either like never going to get married, or I'm going to get married a lot.
Well,
I don't know why.
More on over with that with Ray May later.
Yeah, exactly. I could see myself in like thriving in like a polyamorous relationship with more than one person. I was like, it's also hard to find those people because everyone wants like monogamy. People are jealous.
Really, it's the opposite for me. Like, I guess I'm monogamous. All I run into are poly people.
I feel like it's always that though. It's like you never get what you want. Like, it literally is it's like if you do get what you want, then the circumstances are wrong, and you're just like, why would you think I would want this?
So funny. When it comes to monogamous and polyamorous relationships, do you think that they handle jealousy and communication and even commitment differently? Like, how do you think they handle them differently?
I think that I feel like there's just like more communication in polyamorous relationships.
Really?
And I feel like they handle it.
I mean, you did say that earlier.
Yeah, I feel like they talk about it, and if they are jealous, it can be a thing where it's like, hey.
Do you think there's more or less jealousy in poly relationships?
I don't want to say that there's less, because I'm sure there is jealousy, but I think that people are just better adapt at handling it, and they talk it out probably more, and so then that helps them feel better. Whereas like when people are jealous in like monogamous relationships, I feel like it's a thing where someone's jealous, other person's like, oh my god, you don't have a reason to be jealous. Whether that person's doing something or not, that usually is like always going to be the response, you know. So then that person probably feels like they're crazy, and it gets even more jealous and stuff like that. Where it's like, I feel like in a polyamorous relationship, it can say like, hey, you know, you're doing this, spending a lot of time with this person, I'm feeling a little jealous, and they can say like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make you feel jealous, like I'm just trying to spend time with, like, I introduced a new partner and I'm just trying to spend time with them, they bought me tickets for this, or just want to do this, you know, we're in that stage a little bit. But I think also like maybe in polyamorous relationships, it might be a thing where, you know, I feel like the other relationship gets introduced like when they're at a point where it can be introduced and it's okay, you know, like where it's, that person might have to focus on something else. Like they might be focused on their career.
So they're not like hyper focused on the jealousy,
or, like,
because there's more than one person. They have like their own lives, basically.
Right. And it's like also it's like, okay, if my partner's on a date, then like that person can go out and like, you know, try to talk to someone or something. Where if you're in a monogamous relationship and you want to go out and like your partner doesn't want to go out, and then your partner's out all night, and you're like, oh, I bet you were talking like,
well, do you feel like do you get jealous usually, or does your partner get jealous?
My partner more so gets jealous. Yeah, but I feel like it's like also like it's the curse of being a femme. Like my partner's always going to be jealous if any guy gives me any attention. Like even though I'm like have no interest, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting the ick from them and the cringe.
Or like, okay, so here's for example, as a feminine woman or a person that presents very feminine, when someone asks me for my number, most of the time I am going to give it to them because I don't want to be harmed.
Right.
Like, and it's not because I want to date them, and it's not because I want anything, really. It's just to protect myself. But a lot of partners that I've had did not understand that, or just don't really get it. They're like, oh, you're leading them on. I'm like, I literally block them after.
Right.
As soon as I give them my number and it works, whatever, I just block.
Right. And it was like, I mean, it very much was a safety thing. And I remember even like, well, when we were in New York, these two guys came up to us and they approached us and they were so aggressive, and like we're like, it's like nighttime. We were walking.
It was like
down
1 a.m.
Yeah, like it was late, and we're walking down New York, and it's just like, you know, it was during Pride, but it's like.
But they were straight dudes.
Yeah, they were definitely straight dudes, and like the streets were getting clear, so like it wasn't like there was a bunch of people out, but you know, we did have each other. I had my taser. These guys were so aggressive, and they were pushing up on us so much, so we're like, we went from like walking in the middle of the sidewalk to where like we were almost like in the road, like trying to just like walk. Like it was insane. And I didn't give the guy my number, and I was actually like,
I gave Instagram,
scared. And then like, yeah, you gave him something, and then they were cool after that, and they were like left. But at the same time, I was just like, yo, what the fuck? Like maybe I like, what if like I was alone and I didn't give that guy my number? Like what would have happened, you know? Like,
and that's not something I want to think about personally, because a lot of the time it's negative.
Yeah, like people are crazy.
Literally insane. So I know it's probably not the best option, but at the same time, in the moment, it's just an easy, like, all right, yeah, you find me attractive, but I'm not interested. I'm gonna go.
or even just being polite in general.
Yeah,
like I feel like it's like a lot of times my dad is like talking, is like, look, like these people, they come from different backgrounds, they're used to hollering at these girls and them reacting a certain way, and if you don't, sometimes they'll snap, like so like I just try to like be just be polite, like smile or whatever. And I've had people like that I've dated been like, why like would you do that? Like you're like, making them think it's okay and leading them on, and they don't understand because they don't get approached by guys the same way that I do, because they're more masculine presenting. They're literally like wearing like baggy pants and boxers and stuff. Like it's they get approached by guys, but it's not on the same level as for me.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so hard being a bad bitch.
Right. The pretty girl curse.
Yes. Well, I just want to wrap up by emphasizing the importance of, I guess, respecting different relationship choices.
Yes. Yeah, definitely respect your partner's like their personal like relationship style wishes, and also just communicate. Like I feel like communication helps with so much, and that's like, I mean, that's kind of what it.
So you would say communication is the most important in both relationships.
Yeah.
What are some other things you think?
I feel like also just like understanding, I guess, not taking things like so personally. You know, because I feel like sometimes people like, you might think that like, hey, because we're in a poly relationship or whatever. Yeah. Like, you know, they're going out with this person on this day specifically because they're mad at me, or it's like, no, their partner just bought them tickets, and like it just so happens to be on this day that you happen to be off, and like it's unfortunate, but you know, like, and it's
so funny. I actually just had a film that I wrapped that was about poly relationships, and that was the similar scenario where it was like, okay, so my character was in a poly relationship. Well, I'll link it down below.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
So they were supposed to have like a game night, and they're in a poly relationship of 3, and so it's a throuple, like they all date each other. But one of the people is like, oh no, I have another date, and so the other 2 were like, what are you doing? Like, we're supposed to be like together right now. Yeah. So that was just very interesting dynamic. If you want to watch it, it'll be linked in the description.
Yes. Yeah. What's it called?
Oh, it's called All These Legos, but the actual, so it's going to be a series on YouTube. It's called ATL, like A, T, and L stands for different things. So it's called All These Lesbians.
Okay, yes.
And yes, and it's created by Kay Parker. It's awesome, and the first episode I'm in it, it's about poly relationships. So
okay, cool.
You can check it out if you would like. But I wanted to say some just a brief summary of what we know about relationships and different styles of relationships.
Yeah.
So I feel like for both of them, like you mentioned, communication is important. Understanding is important. Gosh, I literally just got a brain fart just now. Wait, hold on.
I have another one. I can
okay, yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. So I think trust, like having trusting.
That was the one.
Oh. Yeah. It's okay. Somehow it just bopped over here.
Yeah. Okay,
go
ahead.
Yeah, trust is
important. I think commitment actually is important for both of them.
Yes, I think it is too.
Because a lot of people, like, I think a misconception is that just because people are in a polyamorous relationship that they're not committed to each other. And I think that's where the non-ethical side kind of comes in for some people, because they like you mentioned, don't really know how polyamorous relationships work for real, and then they just be out here. And it's like, no, this is actually a commitment. Like monogamy, obviously people can see as a commitment, but when it comes to poly, it's like they kind of have to fight for that respect.
Right, like people have like 2 girlfriends, but those are their girlfriends, and they like are committed to both each girlfriend. The girlfriends may not be in a relationship together; they can or they may not too. But like they have their girlfriend that they're in a relationship with. That's their girlfriend, and they have their other girlfriend or their wife or whatever. But they're like respectable relationships with commitment styles.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anything else you think we can add?
I think that is all for now. But guys.
That's awesome. This was fun. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, this was great. I'm excited for you guys to like leave comments down below. Tell us your stories about polyamory, your opinions, and yeah, we want to just keep this conversation going. All right, guys, so email us, send us an email about like stories. If you guys have questions or advice, you can be featured on the podcast. Email us at SapphicSituationsPod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at SapphicSituationsPod.
Yeah, this was great fun, and we'll see you in the next one.
We will see you guys. All right, bye. Guys. Bye. Be kind.